The moment he stepped into the wedding hall alone, carrying the quiet weight of his life on his shoulders, something inside him cracked. The music was loud, the lights were warm, and laughter echoed from every corner, but for him the room felt painfully silent. He adjusted his worn suit, the same one he had worn to job interviews and parent-teacher meetings, and wondered for the 100th time why he had even come. That was when a sudden, unexpected shout cut through the noise, sharp and fearless, calling his attention like fate itself reaching out. In that instant, everything he thought he understood about loneliness, love, and second chances was about to change. Before the story unfolds any further, take a moment to pause. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. He had not planned to attend the wedding alone. Life simply happened that way. As a single father, his days revolved around packed lunches, school runs, late-night homework, and silent prayers whispered after his child fell asleep. His wife had passed away years earlier, leaving behind an emptiness that never truly healed, only learned to be lived with. Friends had slowly drifted away, not out of cruelty but out of discomfort, unsure how to include a grieving man and his young child in their happy milestones. When the wedding invitation arrived, he hesitated for days before accepting, telling himself it was time to show up again, even if his heart still felt unfinished. The hall shimmered with celebration. Couples laughed easily, hands intertwined, sharing memories and promises. He stayed near the back, not wanting to be noticed, nodding politely at familiar faces who offered quick smiles filled with pity and curiosity. In moments like this, he felt invisible and exposed at the same time, a man carrying a story too heavy for small talk. He thought about his child at home with a babysitter, probably asleep, trusting him completely without knowing how often he questioned his own strength. That thought grounded him, reminding him why he kept going even when the world felt unbearably loud. Then came the shout. It was not rude or mocking. It was bold, almost playful, rising above the music and chatter with surprising warmth. Heads turned. He froze, heart pounding, unsure if he was the one being called. When he looked toward the sound, he saw her standing near the aisle, eyes bright, posture confident, completely unafraid of the attention she had drawn. She was his neighbor, the woman he passed every morning in the hallway with polite nods and brief smiles, the one who sometimes helped collect his mail or watched his child for a few minutes when life ran late. He had never imagined her as someone who would do something like this. Time seemed to slow as their eyes met. In that moment, years of quiet grief, exhaustion, and self-doubt pressed against his chest. He felt exposed, as if she could see the loneliness he tried so hard to hide. Yet instead of embarrassment, something unexpected rose within him. It was recognition. She was not calling him out to shame him. She was calling him in, inviting him to be seen, to step forward rather than remain hidden in the shadows of his own life. As he moved closer, memories of his struggles surfaced. He remembered the nights he cried silently in the kitchen so his child would not hear. The mornings he forced smiles he did not feel. The constant pressure to be both mother and father, strong and gentle, provider and comforter. Society admired single parents from a distance but rarely understood the daily emotional cost. He had grown used to carrying everything alone, believing that asking for help or allowing joy again would somehow dishonor the love he had lost. She stood there, steady and patient, her presence grounding. Without words, she reminded him of something he had forgotten. Life did not end with loss. It changed, reshaped itself, waited quietly for courage to catch up. Their connection was not sudden romance or dramatic confession. It was something deeper and slower, like two people finally acknowledging what had been growing unnoticed in the spaces between ordinary days. As the ceremony continued, he found himself sitting closer to the front than he had intended. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to fully observe love without flinching. He watched vows being exchanged and realized that love was not just about beginnings. It was also about survival, about choosing to stay open even after being broken. His neighbor's presence beside him felt natural, comforting, like a hand resting on a tired shoulder without demanding anything in return. The reception brought warmth and movement. He laughed more than he expected, surprised by the sound of it. He felt lighter, as if a small part of the burden he carried had been gently lifted. Others noticed the change. Some smiled knowingly, others seemed curious, but he no longer cared. For once, he was not defined solely by his past or his responsibilities. He was simply a man allowed to exist, to feel, to hope again. Later that evening, as the lights dimmed and the celebration softened into quiet conversations, he reflected on how close he had come to staying home. One decision, one unexpected moment, had shifted something profound within him. He realized that healing did not announce itself loudly. It arrived in subtle ways, through people who saw you when you were not trying to be impressive, through moments that asked you to step forward instead of retreat. Life after loss had taught him discipline and endurance, but it had also taught him fear. Fear of attachment, fear of happiness, fear of disappointing his child if he failed again. Yet watching his neighbor move through the room with effortless sincerity, he understood that fear did not protect him. It only kept him lonely. Love, in whatever form it came, was not a betrayal of the past. It was a continuation of the heart's ability to care. When he returned home that night, he stood for a long moment outside his child's room, listening to the steady rhythm of sleep. He thought about the example he wanted to set. Not just resilience, but openness. Not just sacrifice, but joy. Children learned love not from perfection, but from honesty. He wanted his child to see that it was okay to live fully, even after loss. Days turned into weeks, and something quietly beautiful unfolded. Small gestures grew into shared routines. Conversations deepened. Trust formed not through grand promises but through consistency and understanding. She never tried to replace what he had lost. She honored it, respected it, and walked beside him instead of ahead or behind. In her presence, he felt no pressure to be anything other than himself. The challenges did not disappear. Single parenthood remained demanding. Grief still visited in unexpected waves. But now, he no longer faced them alone. He learned that strength was not about carrying everything silently. It was about knowing when to let someone else share the weight. That realization changed how he moved through the world, how he smiled at strangers, how he believed in the future again. If this story is touching something inside you, if it reminds you of your own struggles or quiet hopes, please take a moment near the end of this video to like, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps keep stories like this alive and reaching those who need them most. Just before we reach the ending, here is a special request. Please comment below with a single word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you know. In the end, it was never really about a wedding or a shouted moment in a crowded hall. It was about being seen when you least expect it. It was about choosing courage over comfort, presence over isolation. A single dad walked into a wedding believing he was alone in the world, only to discover that love sometimes waits quietly next door, patient enough to call out when the time is right. And in answering that call, he did not just find connection. He found himself again.